Hey, good CIA afternoon to you. Certifiably Insane America with Michael Spar reporting. Listening to Glenn Beck today. And he had a guy by the name Mr. Laffer on it, and he really had a flat tax theory going. It was pretty good. But we're all missing the point here. You got to reduce government. And you can't reduce government by kicking people out of their jobs. You've got to induce them to want to go into the private sector. Compete for private sector jobs that would give them more money. But when people in government are making $71,000 to $73,000 average a year, and people in the private sector are making $40,000 average a year, that doesn't work, especially with their pension plans. No, the only way to get our government straight and reduce it is to basically like our taxes are up to like about 60%. Well, our taxes are up 60% because we're paying all those government wages. I mean, reduce the pay for government workers by 60%, down to around 30,000, 28 to 30,000 a year for, the average pay. All government pay. I mean, from the president on down, to every project, to everything, to all the grants, everything reduced by 50%, 60%. Now, what that does is it still has your government jobs, and the people that are in them get to keep them, but they're just getting paid less. And that's the incentive to get them to go into private sector, because they want to get paid more. Let's face it, all the people in government are lazy, greedy people that do nothing but push papers and nothing productive. Nothing that, actually earns money for the country, just steals it from others that do earn. So that's what we got to do, Glenn and Mr. Laffer. You've got to make the people see that government jobs have got to be reduced by 50 to 60% pay scale wage. And that's the big step to reducing the size of government. In its own way, it'll reduce it. Reduce the pay scale, you'll reduce the incentive to want to get a government job. And then when it comes to the people that are in Congress, well, we got to, get them to understand that they vote to their constituency. In other words, you don't vote any guy in that won't vote his hometown constituency. And he does that by taking polls in his home area, and gets a little vote going and finds out what his constituents want him, which way his constituents want him to vote when a vote comes up. And if and he doesn't vote any other way. And if the vote happens to be so close that it's, incomprehensive as to which way to vote, you vote present. Just like Obama did all the time. When there's no consensus, you just vote present. So that's how we get our voting on law back into order. We don't put somebody in there that wants to represent himself or his ideology, but who wants to represent his constituency. And then that should start straightening out government right away. You get dedicated people going into government because it's not for the money. And they vote for what their constituents want. And they're not going to want to stay in it too long because it's not, because the money's not good enough. You want to get back into the private sector. So it would be that part-time, you wouldn't get these long-term people in government unless they're really dedicated and wanted to live on less to do more. Well, that's what I got to say to you, Glenn, today. And to Mr. Laffer, your flat tax sounds great as long as you protect people that, like me, are blind You know, and we can't do anything except get on YouTube and point out what we see in our blindness. So you have a good day, gentlemen, and think about what I've said to you today, because it actually makes common sense. Have a nice day, and go CIA.